What's up, guys? Wildland Customs here, and today we are taking a look at the Godzilla vs. Kong. This is King Kong, and is with his battle axe from the Monsterverse right there, made by Playmates. Looks pretty interesting. It's a smaller figure, not a big giant one, but still pretty cool to have. Take a little back right here. You do have other monsters. You have Godzilla right there, two different versions, Warbat, and the Skull Crawler right there, which is pretty cool. Alright, he does have battle damage, so let's open him up. Alright, so here is Kong out of the box. Pretty cool looking actually. Like I said before, he does come with a couple of accessories. He does have the battle damage on the shoulder right here. Assuming from the movie, it will happen eventually, I guess, of course. But the piece right here, which is the skin basically, you could put it on, is a nice rubbery substance, so it's pretty pliable. And I guess you could just pretty much slide that in, match it up perfectly. Shouldn't have a problem. There you go. Actually, it went in pretty easily. And there he is. I think from far away you would barely notice it. Looks pretty good. And tucks in pretty nicely. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's going to come out. Alright, next up you do get his battle axe, which looks like to be a piece of bone actually. So you can see the end right here. It looks like a bone. It's all brown though. I thought it was actually like a piece of wood at first. But you look closely. The detail on the sculpt is not bad. The paint job could be a lot better. You do see it's kind of wrapped up right here and stuff like that. I'm not really sure what this is supposed to be. Maybe part of a mountain. Because you know how big Kong is, right? For him to have a battle axe, it must be a humongous set of, well, a humongous animal for the bone to be from, right? And who knows what this is. But when it comes to sticking to his hand, he only has one hand that has a gripping hand on his right. So sticking it in isn't a big problem. He has pretty rubbery hands, even though they're pretty firm. But they fit in there pretty well. And now he can use his battle axe either way you want to inflict damage. Alright, but other than that, let's take a look at Kong itself. He looks pretty good. The paint scheme on it, there is some shading. He is a base gray color with a lot of black shading all over the place. Some look pretty random, some look pretty good overall. He also does have a scar on his chest right there. Looks pretty good right there. But the sculpting overall, when it comes to fur on his body, looks pretty decent, I guess. You know, this is not a really high detailed figure, but you do get some nice stuff going on here. While I do like some attention to detail, like over here his chest is black and darker, also on his face, also his hand as well is a little bit darker as well. This part over here is more black, while this part over here is gray, so maybe there's a mix-up right there, or just, who knows, production laziness. Looking at his face, not bad. The teeth come out pretty well. Nice tongue right there. It's a pretty angry face expression on right there. The eyes look pretty good too. I like the eyes. Very intimidating looking. Alright, so before we get into size comparison, let's take a look at his height. He is about 6 inches right there. So he's not a big, humongous figure like most people will like to have. But he's a great size if you just like, you want a nice small figure or a nice display piece on your desk. Small, won't take a lot of room. Is cool. Alright, size comparison time. So here he is with a 6-inch scale Deadpool figure, which is about 6.5 inches. And here we have, of course, the greatest WWE champion of all time, Brock Lesnar. So he's about 6 inches, give or take. So he actually could fit in pretty well as like a normal gorilla in your 6-inch scale, if you really want to use him. Definitely has some size to him. You see him side by side with a normal size figure. He would crush Deadpool right away. And for another size comparison, what I like to collect actually are little small Halo figures and all the ships and stuff like that, so I have a lot of these. In reality, before this whole Monsterverse, you know, King Kong wasn't supposed to be this big giant thing like Godzilla. He was a pretty big guy, but not that big. I actually think this matches pretty well. Here's with Optimus Prime right there. But sadly, I don't have Godzilla yet, couldn't find him. But here he is with these two. And for another fun size comparison, because I love gorillas, here he is of Optimus Primal in their beast form right there. Alright, getting to articulation really quickly, he has a swivel head. It goes left and right like this. Doesn't go up and down at all, barely. It just maybe nudges a little bit, but that's pretty much all your articulation you're going to get on the head joint right there. He had the pretty thick joint, it looks like, especially the neck part, but I don't want to try to pop it off right now. But that's for the head. For the shoulders, he does have a hinge joint that rotates all the way around, so it's pretty good. Goes up and down pretty nice and seamlessly, no problems there. There's no bicep swivel at all, but the elbow, he does have a hinge joint that goes up about that far. huge forearms for a gorilla, of course. However, instead of a bicep swivel, like I said before, it does rotate at the elbow left and right, so that's pretty nice to have. And at the wrist right here, he does have a standard swivel joint. Alright, going to the body, no ab articulation as you can see, solid body right there. Going down to the hips now, a little bit kind of interesting. So, let me zoom in a little bit. He does have a peg joint going straight up right there. So, it kind of allows you to have a swivel, like that. It's on a hinge as well, so you could bring his legs up pretty decent for a gorilla, I guess. But it doesn't allow you to really do a standard split. Like, he kind of is like that. So it's kind of wonky, I guess you could say. There is no thigh swivel as well, but you do have the swivel at the hip right there. So, you know, you can play around with it in certain ways. You can't have him do like a standard split with his feet straight out. So it's a little weird. It might kind of hinder your posing him a little bit, I guess. I mean, you can angle about that much out, but yeah. It gets a little weird. But going to the knee, he has one joint at the knee right there, and at the ankle or foot, there is no articulation at all. Now, I do admit, articulation is a little bit disappointing. You know, you can't even get him into a standard, like, gorilla pose with the knuckles on the ground looking forward. His head won't swivel up, so that kind of sucks. Definitely his hips and legs are probably the least articulated. Like I said, you have to kind of work with it to get something out of it. You can still get him into some kind of pose to, you know, have him posed angry, fighting. So you're not horribly limited, but you definitely wish for more articulation. Not a horrible figure, you know, it's obviously for a certain demographic, you know, it's not for like a high scale collector that's gonna love a nice solid King Kong figure. It's a nice simple Kong figure. You know, just for the small scale for people and kids to play with. A couple of things I'd like to point out, like I said before, the hands are a little bit more soft and rubbery, which is pretty nice. Nice durable material. Also with the feet, there's a little bit more give and rubber there, which is pretty cool. I do think the face sculpt is fantastic. He looks very angry and menacing overall. Like he's really about to do some battle. The scar on the chest is a nice thing right there going down. Looks like it's 3 claws, maybe Godzilla did that, who knows. And also don't forget, he does have the battle damage right there, which is a pretty cool aspect to have as well. So that's about it, guys. Thank you for watching. Quick video and quick review. And like always, comment, criticize, subscribe. Do whatever you want to pay attention. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Peace!